Hello and welcome to Wellbeing Therapy Solutions Live. If you're watching us live, thanks for joining us. If you're watching us on record, you're very welcome. I'm joined as ever by Wellbeing Therapy Solutions Managing Director, Kate Jackson. Hello, Kate. How are you?
Good morning. Well, it is a good morning then, Martin. Good afternoon. Oh, good, thank you. Yeah, are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Or good evening, indeed, yeah, wherever you might be watching this. As you know, as well as promoting good wellbeing habits on our channel, we're also very keen to promote the amazing work of some of our local charities in the area. And today we're joined by a representative of one of those charities. Kellie Charge is joining us from the Bodie Hodges Foundation. It's a charity that's not only made a big impact here in Leicestershire, but across the whole of the UK. So Kellie, welcome and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks very much for inviting us along. We're really pleased to have the opportunity to be with you today.
Okay, fantastic. Well, it's a charity that's close to Kate's heart, but we'll get onto that in a moment. And to start with, Kellie, I guess it's best for you to tell us a little bit about your role and also the charity and how it was formed and some of the work it does.
Sure. So I am the fundraising and events manager for the Bodie Hodges Foundation. And the charity came into being in 2013. Nick and Donna Hodges, their son Bodie, sadly passed away in 2012. And after Bodie died, they realised that the support that was available for families that had been bereaved of a child was actually just not what it should have been. And so the Bodie Hodges Foundation was born from that. And initially fundraising started to buy Bodie's Boathouse. And that dream was achieved and Bodie's Boathouse opened in 2016. And the Boathouse is based in Tallington Lakes in Lincolnshire, and it's a luxury 6-berth lodge, and we provide a free 1-week stay to families from across the East Midlands area that have been bereaved of a child within the first 3 years following that death. And that just allows our families time away to spend a bit of time outside of the normal home and work environments to really concentrate on sort of, thinking about the memories they've got of the child that has died, and also trying to figure out how they're going to start to move forward and find their new normal. And it's really important to be able to do that in a safe, neutral space. And that's what Bodie's Boathouse is all about. Following on from Bodie's Boathouse, the charity then started to think about how we could support other families further afield, and fundraising then began and work started on Bodie's treasured memory bags.
Okay.
And this was born from Nick and Donna's daughter, surviving daughter after Bodie's death, who they found support for was sadly lacking. So Bodie's treasured memory bags contain a wealth of grief resources that surviving siblings can work through with an adult or a parent, to really try to understand their grief, and to also record precious memories that they have of their siblings. And we have a range of bags that work for children from the age from 3 up to the age of 18. And we also have specialist SEND bags that work really well for our children. And we actually send those out across the whole of the United Kingdom to siblings. And again, there's no charge for Bodie's treasured memory bags. Each bag actually costs us around about £60 to pull together. So we often do lots of fundraising to fund for Bodie's treasured memory bags. And we've just done some work on that actually with Leicester City and the community, which worked really well. And then in 2019, we launched Bodie's bereavement service. And we have our lead child and family bereavement practitioner, Nicola Rhodes, who works very closely with families, that being parents and siblings, after the bereavement of their child. And Nicola works with families across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and the environment that she does that in can vary. It can very often be based in schools, or it can be in the home environment, and also now at our new offices in Leicester. So they are really sort of the three main functions that the charity performs currently, that were born from Nick and Donna's bereavement.
Okay, and your own role within that, Kellie, is basically just to try and set up as many fundraising possibilities as possible.
Absolutely. So for us, we do get support from families that have used our services, often donate, and friends and relatives of theirs also.
Yeah.
We're also always really keen to develop corporate partnerships within Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, and they're really important to us. And for us as a charity, we do like to stress that it is a partnership. I think it's really key to get the point across that, you know, gone are the days of charities going into businesses and expecting them to open a checkbook and say, right, how much, you know, are you going to give me? For us, it's really about engaging with their staff, so the staff understand why they're going to be supporting the Bodie Hodges Foundation, and to really demonstrate what an impact to them that support will have. And that's really, really key for us. And also, now that we have just moved into a new building, we're also able to extend volunteering opportunities to staff.
Okay.
And that could be for, you know, making Bodie's treasured memory bags up. So obviously we can then engage with those staff and explain what a difference those memory bags make.
Sure.
Down to sort of, you know, weeding the car park, or volunteering at one of our events. So we have a wealth of opportunities there that we can engage staff with.
Okay, Kate, the charity is close to your heart as well. You've done some fundraising work for Bodie Hodges Foundation yourself. Tell us a little bit about what got you involved in that.
Yeah, well, a close friend of mine is a personal friend of Nick and Donna's. So when they set up the charity, she was doing a lot of work with them, and so I sort of naturally wanted to support her in that as well, because I think the impact of a child dying just spreads wider than the family, you know, the friends network and wider as well. And so there've been a few opportunities really. I've been fortunate enough to join Team Bodie for the Great North Run, obviously not last year, the year before, which was honestly one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. And obviously the team ran this weekend, and I cannot wait to be back doing that next year. But the team, as Kellie talked then about the support and the genuineness that comes from being part of that charity. There's something about it, there's something really special about being involved in fundraising, because it isn't just, I think it feels genuinely valued, and you make a real difference. And actually what Kellie and Nick and Donna and Nicola bring to supporting people, I guess supporting the supporters, is real, and it kind of adds to the commitment that you want to make to the charity, really. So I've done that, and also, you know, I set up my business 3 years ago, but last sort of year or so I've been selling Wellbeing boxes, which are letterbox boxes, full of, I guess, treats and things to consider around your own self-care and pampering yourself, and been sending those out as gifts. And some people have bought them for just a perk and just because a friend, you know, could do with a little treat, or sending them as birthday presents. One went to a baby shower, all sorts of things. And then the 100% of the profits from that into the foundation.
And we'll pop a link in the copy below on this video at the end, so people can look at those and purchase one if they want to, Kate, as well.
Thank you.
So, Kellie, tell us a little bit about the some of the major events you've held over the past 6 or 7 years. Where have they been, and who's been involved in those?
Sure. So we really have a few key events every year that contribute massively towards our fundraising. Our first one is our sports dinner. We're about to have our 8th sports dinner on the 30th of September, and this year our guest speaker is John Barnes.
Okay.
And we also have Jamie Raven, the magician, who's going to entertain guests also. This is going to be held at Leicester Tigers, and we're really grateful to Leicester Tigers for their support with the venue, and it's really our major fundraiser of the year. So far this year we're up to about 250 guests, so
Great.
That's really exciting, to have so many people in a room together at once after such a long time. We will be social distancing still, but it's really exciting to be able to get back to those live face-to-face events.
And I guess you've had the similar sort of feedback from people attending, Kelly, have you? People excited to actually be in a room socialising, if you can remember what that's all about.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had really nice feedback sort of coming through, because obviously the event was supposed to happen in 2020 and we had to postpone it. So the feedback we've had has been lovely, sort of emails coming through saying, I can't believe it's actually happening and we're going. And, it's just so nice to get that feedback. And actually we're just as excited as they are that it can finally go ahead. We also have our golf day at the Belfry. Nice. We do that annually, and that was actually our first live event for the last 18 months, and that happened on at the end of July this year.
Did you play yourself, Kelly, or were you a caddy, or did you just stay in the 19th most of the day?
Absolutely not. I totally stick to the fundraising there, Martin, because we didn't need a comedy element adding to the golf day, I don't think. Yeah, I was purely on fundraising duty that day.
Okay, did you have a good day?
It was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And again, with it being that first live event that we've held, it was brilliant, really good day there. So we raised in the region of about 14k that day, which was just phenomenal for us after having such a big hit on our income over the last 18 months. It was so nice to get that funding in and not be eating into reserves. So that was brilliant.
I guess that was a big day for you as well personally, Kelly, was it? Having sat through what we've all been through over the last 18 months, and to be able to go home at night, past midnight, I think you were saying before we went live, and sit down and realise you just had a successful fundraising day. It must have been a lovely feeling.
It was. It was one of those things that sort of, I've been in fundraising for a long time, and I think everybody kind of takes these sort of events for granted, I think, after a while, because we all get invited to different fundraisers for different charities, don't we? I do personally, even though I work for a charity. And I think sometimes they can very often be seen as sort of, oh goodness, another fundraising event. But actually, I think because we've missed them for so long, and we've missed having that face-to-face interaction and that camaraderie, I think it really had a massive effect on people's well-being. And they were so excited to be able to get out and do that again and have that interaction. And it was just so important and so nice to see that at our first live event. And it made me realise, actually, although they are incredibly hard work, I've really, really missed this. And, it was really nice to get back to doing what I love doing.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because Kate only the other week did a first live presentation or workshop, didn't you, Kate, for a long time? And although, you got Zoom working nicely during COVID and lockdowns, it made a big difference to you to be actually seeing people face to face for their well-being and for your own.
Yeah, absolutely. The social contact, because we have it with our families and we're starting to do a bit small, but in terms of from a work perspective, sitting behind a screen for 18 months has just been so different to certainly how I worked previously. So yeah, it was great to just be in a room of people, and just like, because you just get so much more interaction and pick up on things differently. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Away from the events for a little while, Kelly, organ donation is also very big part of the charity's work. Tell us a little bit about why it is so.
It is very much. When Bodie died, he became an absolute donation hero, and became an organ donor. with Nick and Donna's consent, and changed the lives of so many children. And we have quite a good overview of organ donation at the charity, because obviously Bodie was an organ donor and I have a daughter who is an organ recipient.
Oh, right, okay.
So we kind of understand, you know, as adults in the charity, we kind of understand things from both sides of the organ donation fence, as it were. And it is just so important, from a donor recipient family point of view. You know, that gift of life is just, there is no greater gift you can receive. And we really encourage people to please have that conversation, because even though we are now in a scenario where it's an opt-out system rather than an opt-in system with the law that changed, if a family says no at the point of being asked, then that is it. The conversation is over and there is no donation. Even if you carry an organ donor card, if your family say no, they can stop that going ahead. So it really is important for people to have that conversation and make it absolutely clear whether or not they do or do not wish to have their organs donated after their death. And the circumstances in which someone can actually be an organ donor are very limited. It's not every person, you know, as soon as they reach the point of death, that can be a donor. There are very specific circumstances in which someone can be a donor. So it's not an automatic given that you will be an organ donor. And that's why it's so important to have the conversation. And anybody, if they would like any information about organ donation, please get in contact with me at the charity, because it's always something that we are, you know, really keen to discuss and help people make an informed decision that's right for them.
Yeah, thanks, Kellie. And again, once again, we'll put Kellie's contact details underneath the video here when we finish today. The last 18 months, Kellie, have been unbelievably difficult for charities that Kate and myself know, and many others across the country, because of COVID, because of lockdowns. How has that affected the Bodie Hodges Foundation and your plans to bounce back from that now that those lockdowns seem to be coming to an end?
I mean, from a fundraising point of view, obviously, you know, fundraising just kind of dropped off a cliff overnight, really, as it did for most charities. And it's been hard. Thankfully, we did have reserves in place, which a lot of smaller charities didn't. And unfortunately, those are the ones that have not survived the pandemic. We did have reserves in place, and we have started to utilise them throughout lockdown, because fundraising had declined so much. Having said that, we are very lucky that we do have some incredibly loyal supporters who really thought outside the box about how they could continue to support us during lockdown, and Kate being one of them, actually, with her Wellbeing boxes. So we did have some income coming in, but there has been a significant impact for us. Now fundraising is starting to pick up again, and that's great, and we're starting to move away from virtual events and more into face-to-face fundraising again, which is brilliant. In terms of service provision, particularly with Nicola and the bereavement service, we really had to think about how were we going to make it so that they could continue, because obviously going into family homes or going into a school environment was just not possible. And that whole support network for families who were bereaved during lockdown changed, you know, so drastically, because being able to have a face-to-face conversation or a hug with a friend or a family member had gone. And just that simple thing that you know we all need at times of bereavement suddenly disappeared. So supporting families became, you know, really quite a big challenge for us, but we adapted. We started doing things online. We had bereavement sessions in in a park. You know, we really had to think outside the box about how we could meet safely with families and still offer support. But we're now starting to go back to that face-to-face support, which is key to recently bereaved families.
Yeah, sure. It must be a emotionally challenging work that you conduct, Kellie, for yourself and the other people involved within the charity because of its nature. How do you go about looking after yourselves on a day-to-day basis as well?
I mean, we're very lucky. We're only a very small team, but we have really great lines of communication between us. We all support each other really well. Nicola, our lead child and family bereavement practitioner, obviously has clinical supervision, which is hugely important for her. And we all, you know, we all support each other as best we can. I don't have a great deal of contact with families. So for me, it's more about the fundraising than the actual contact with families. So I'm fairly removed from it, but obviously for Nicola, it's very, very different having that every day. And wellbeing is really important to us as a charity, and we do look after ourselves and our colleagues wherever we can.
Again, Kate's just done you did a session the other week at a school, didn't you, Kate, where everyone's focusing on how to look after children when they're going back to school, but it's that who looks after the people that look after our kids, the teachers. And what was that like for you, Kate, this week?
Yeah, no, it's just so important because I do think, rightly so, we're looking out for our children. I saw a little image the other day, which was about if your child's in year 6, the last kind of consistent, reliable schooling they had was in year 3. And that's such a big part of a child's life, isn't it? And all of that change they've gone through. So yeah, absolutely, we need to look after children. But what about the adults around and the teacher in that case? Like you say, Nicola in her role, having that all set up is so important to be able to know how to look after ourselves. But also, if you're doing okay, checking in on other people and looking after themselves, which sounds like you're totally doing within the charity. And it is a small team, isn't it? So that kind of connection and being able to support each other and have a good team ethos is really, really important in that well-being of you all.
Yeah. Kellie, how important is the feedback you get from the families that you deal with? I guess it can make a huge difference.
It's really important to us because everything we do is always based around our families, and we are always led by our families. We don't dictate what services that they need from us, and that's really important, that we are reactive to their needs rather than going in and saying, well, we can give you this, this and this, because it just may not be appropriate for that family at that time. So it's really important for us to listen to our families and to receive feedback, because we always want to improve everything we do, and we don't always get everything right. Nobody does, do they? So no. It's really important to get that feedback, because we always want to improve our services and the support that we offer our families. So we really value that. And equally, we value it in terms of our fundraising and our events as well, because we always want to improve upon that. So knowing whether or not we're getting the support right that we're giving to our fundraisers is equally important. And we want to hear that one way or the other, so we can always make it a great experience.
Yeah. Kate, you're going to continue doing what you can for the charity?
Yes. Oh, yes. Definitely got things in the pipeline, and just keeping that connection is really important. And from the fundraising perspective, I think we'll all be doing as much as we can to support those charities that have, made it through the pandemic and continue. And obviously, what's amazing about the Bodie Hodges Foundation is there was this kind of starting point of the Boathouse. And that was I think achieved far quicker than was ever anticipated, and was in place, and was just a phenomenal achievement so fast. So then it was like, okay, what else can we bring to our families? And I think that's what's wonderful about the charity, is kind of exploring all those options, and it is stuff that just isn't accessible anywhere else, and really meeting the needs of those families.
Kellie, if there's people watching today as part of a corporate organisation or a small business or even just a member of the public watching and they want to help, how can they go about doing that?
So firstly, I would encourage everybody to visit our website, www.bodiehodgesfoundation.co.uk. And there's lots and lots of information on there, whether you be an individual, a bereaved family or a corporate. Please contact myself. Obviously, I'm more than happy to discuss through any fundraising, whether that be on an individual basis or a corporate basis. For the rest of this year coming up, we have places in the Leicester Half Marathon available. That's on the 31st of October. Yep. And we also have our Santa Fun Run. That will be taking place at Leicester Racecourse on the 12th of December, and also virtually, because last year we had to adapt that slightly. So we had several hundred Santas running around various villages across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland last year. And we're also going to be doing the same again, because we appreciate that not everybody feels comfortable or confident being in an environment with lots of people. So we're going to actually offer both alternatives this year. So there are two key ways for events that we've got left this year for people to engage. We have also just launched a capital appeal. Because in 2020, we were due to receive a significant amount of funding, but unfortunately, because of the global pandemic, that funding never came to be. So we've taken the very bold decision to buy Bodie's house, which is the building that we moved into on the 1st of September. But in order to do this, we need to raise £450,000, which for us as a small charity is absolutely huge. So our capital appeal is also launched. There is details about that on our website. But once again, if anybody would be interested in working with us to contribute towards a capital appeal, please don't hesitate to get in touch.
Fantastic. Sounds like some very exciting times ahead, Kellie, and we'll make sure that we put all the website details and your own contact details down below the video. I mean, I think it's been lovely to have you with us today, Kellie. Thank you so much for giving up your time and telling us about the amazing work that Bodie Hodges Foundation does, and also very heartfelt good luck for myself and Kate for the rest of the year and beyond, because it's been a very challenging time by the sounds of it over the last 18 months. So thanks once again, Kellie, for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for the opportunity. And Kate, thank you for everything that you've been doing for us. We really do appreciate your support.
Yeah, you're really welcome. And yeah, thanks to you so much for telling us all about it today. It's been great to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Thanks a lot, Kellie, and thanks a lot, Kate, as well. We'll catch up with you soon on Wellbeing Therapy Solutions Live. Any information on upcoming broadcasts, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell, and you'll be the first to find out when we're broadcasting live next. Thanks once again for Kellie and Kate, and thank you very much for joining us today here on Wellbeing Therapy Solutions Live. We'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.